Welcome. I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about all things true crime and psychology. And guten Abend in Germany, guten Tag in Germany. I didn't realize that y'all were there. I lived in Germany for about 5 years. Loved it. My German is not good. Ein bisschen Deutsch, just a touch, just enough to be able to order food and, like, ask where the bathroom is. Like, that's about the gist. Y'all, Lori, we're gonna do it again. We are here to talk about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case. She is charged with conspiracy to commit capital M in the death of her husband, Charles. The jury is not going to know that after Charles, that then Tylee, JJ, and Tammy all died as well. The jury is not going to know that, and that Lori has been convicted of this. I watched a lawyer go through uh, Lori's defense strategy and kind of where Lori made some missteps. That was an interview over on East Idaho News. And there was also another interview, I forget the station. But there are some former judges and attorneys that are giving commentary on this case. And I always like to give credit when I hear somebody else have a really good idea. And the one for East Idaho News, what that lawyers talked about was the fact that the prosecution has put forth a very, very strong case, and Lori may decide to present no defense. So she's just going to say, the state hasn't proved it was me. And I also heard that attorney talk about how the state has a strong circumstantial case, and because they don't have a unalive chart, like they don't have something that is concrete. All the things they have, it is circumstantial, but to me, it's a pretty strong circumstantial case. And when you put it all together, the only conclusion I personally can come to is just one, but we will see what the jury decides. There are people guessing that the jury may have it could be a quick verdict. It could be a little, excuse me, it could be a little bit longer depending on where the jury is with all of this. I personally think that Lori made some missteps along the way, and I'm all about justice for Charles, so I don't mind that she made these missteps. But to me, she showed that she is smart. She is able to um, manipulate, I think, because to me, there were times that she was trying to get certain information in and say certain things when she likely knew she wasn't supposed to. And I do think that the state should be prepared on when Lori goes up to give her closing statement, because if Lori does not testify, I think she's going to try to say some things that did not come out in any testimony in the trial. And so I think the objection would be like assumes facts not in evidence, or objection testifying, or something like that. There will be some objection from the state. Give me a moment to take a drink. I'm over here wheezing. I don't know why. I was fine, totally fine before. All right, there we go. And there was a great question. Okay, the text when we got rid of him, I guess there was maybe, okay, would have confirmed guilt if I was a jury. Okay, so that text would have confirmed the guilt for you. Also, doesn't no defense look bad for Lori? Not necessarily. So there are times where the defense just says the state has not met the burden of evidence, because the burden is on the state to prove guilt. It's not on the defendant to prove innocence. So that's how our legal system works. And I've heard other lawyers on YouTube say that a bunch. And so, Jade, no worries for ignoring this case. Like it is whoa. Yes. Lisa, it makes sense. At the end of the last stream, I mentioned that I'm very much a Leo. And Lisa, Mama Johnny, my mom, is also a Leo. My son is a Leo as well. Like, it's very strong Leo vibes in our house. Um, it might have been, so it was on East Idaho News, maybe yesterday, but I watched it this morning. So I do not remember the name of, but it might have, I think it was one of the prosecutors from one of her other trials, from maybe the one from Idaho. I believe that that's who it was. I'm horrible with names. Lori's always up to something, but I do not think she wants to be cross-examined, because one of her questions to the jury was, could they find her innocent if she did not testify, or would they hold it against her if she did not testify? During the proffer of the jury, so before they sat the jury, that was one of the questions she asked, and so I don't think she wants to be cross-examined. She likes being in control. And I think that's why she got so combative in that first primetime interview she did. The second interview, but I think she was more tame and almost normal during that interview. But I don't think Lori wants the state to know for sure what she's gonna do, and she wants to once again stay in control, and she's not gonna decide until Monday if she's going to testify or not. But I think she's made it clear that she does not have any witnesses that she's going to put forward, which, okay, because I'm waiting to hear those threatening messages, and I remember her opening statement where she said, "The evidence will show. The evidence will show. The evidence." Remember all that evidence that we were supposed to get? And then I wish I could be there to see the jury's face when she says the defense rests. And it's like, "Ma'am, during your opening statement, you said the evidence would show all these things." Now, I think what she's trying to say is when she asked her questions, she was able to get her evidence in, but I don't think she did that. She has not watched she's not a law nerd. She does not watch enough true crime. She's done way too much true crime and has not watched. Like, just watch. Don't do crimes, people. Super duper easy. Super duper easy. You can be my YouTube bestie. All right. Witness, welcome. So I haven't been keeping up with the Karen Reed trial. It moves too slow for me. Okay. I need cases that go boom, boom, boom. Okay. Like, I like cases that move. Karen's case it goes way too slow. Supreme Court, like, there are all these rulings. I keep going to Emily D. Baker's quick bits to figure out what's going on. I just can't. And the lady from the East Idaho News, yes, prosecutor Rachel Smith, she made a perfect point that what seems out of the norm can come off crazy when it's actually just evil. Like, Lori's not so out of her mind that she's, you know, because she knows that what she did was illegal. That's why she can't claim not guilty by reason of insanity. Now, in Idaho, that wasn't even an option. So Idaho, I wanna say, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, I don't think NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity, is a potential defense there, but her delusions didn't make it to where she didn't understand that she was breaking the law. Like, she lied, and she tried to cover up her crimes, which shows consciousness of guilt. And I saw, Natalie Lawyer Chick's video where she talked about, Lori's consciousness of guilt and the times that that has come up. All right? Make sure if y'all have questions, put, like, 3 question marks in front. I am way behind on the chat. I am I'm catching up. Okay, good. All caught up. And Jessica, don't try to figure it out too hard, okay? Because some of her things, it is all to protect her ego. So the way that you understand Lori is you try to think, so what's how, because I think Lori thinks she's doing a good job. There's no way Lori thinks that she's losing or that she's lost this case. I personally think Lori, her ego, her always having to be the smartest, the best in the room, God is on her side, but not like because she believes that she's like divine and she's doing God's mission and she's doing all these things. I think all of that protects her from, but not in a good way. So it's a maladaptive defense mechanism and not an adaptive defense mechanism. So denial can be a positive. So let's say something major happens in my life and like bad, something really bad happens. And for the moment, I just can't accept it. Just to get through the next day, I just can't grasp that for this moment. Okay. But then eventually I work through the process, go to therapy. I end up accepting that thing that I couldn't accept. Now, Lori, in my personal thoughts, the way that she just constantly protects her ego, I do think that so from everything that's been said, I do not know her dad personally. The way he's been described, I'm pretty sure that Lori's father meets criteria for narcissism. I see a lot of vulnerable narcissism with Lori. Now, if you get on her bad side, it can turn into an aggressive and into like a malignant narcissism. But for me, I see more of the I'm the victim, feel bad for me. I also personally think she has some strong histrionic traits as well, where she has to be the center of attention. It has to all be about her. Because, who she's questioning the woman who had dinner with Charles the day before his death, and Lori's thinking that their entire conversation was about her. And Nancy Joe and Kay and Adam were probably some of my favorite witnesses. I think the jury, because the jury asks questions to the experts, they really aren't asking questions of the kind of lay witnesses, the people that were hearing conversations or were talking about Lori or Charles' behavior. They're not really asking them a ton of questions. Um, but I personally feel at times she tries to just have people feel bad for her, and that's her talk about trying to smear poor Charles's name, that Charles was sending these threatening messages. Am I wrong? None of the threatening messages have come up. So she said that there were these messages. I personally have not heard any. Why wouldn't her friends or her legal team tell her, "You've sucked at this. You'll probably lose this case." So I'm not laughing. So I'm laughing because the question is great. So Lori doesn't keep friends that disagree with her. Have you noticed that? That's why Lori stopped talking to Adam, because Adam said things she doesn't like. So when people say things she doesn't like, I think she would get rid of them. Now, I think she has done some things okay. So she's done better than I think Sarah Boone would have done in defending herself. Those are my own personal thoughts. Um, I think Lori has done a better job, but I don't think she's doing a great job. I also personally feel that Lori lacks the ability to see how other people see things. Similar to Sarah Boone, where when we all saw the video of George cowering, like George, so Sarah is yelling and screaming at him, and he's just like small and crying in the corner. Sarah Boone looked at that video and said, "I'm the victim." And we all looked and we were like, George was the victim in this case. So Lori kind of does the same thing, where we all see the same thing, but our perspectives are completely different. And she struggles to see the perspectives of others. My own personal thoughts. All right. Just based on what I've seen, based on what I've heard, and based on her very, 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 very strong ego. So, but Lori's dad raised her and her siblings to think that they were the top 2%. They were the absolute best. Nobody's better than them. And he also tried to defend himself against the federal government. I think it's some tax stuff. I think he lost. But um and I also think Lori wanted control. I don't think her lawyer would have handled this the way she is. I don't think her lawyer would have asked some of the questions that she's asking I think her lawyer would have done a better job getting her potential evidence in because she possibly wanted to present a defense about the testosterone or about which I personally don't think had a factor in this case at all. But if you were thinking maybe it could, sure. Like she could have presented evidence that yes, Charles was aggressive. I don't think that's true, but she could have tried. I think her lawyer would have done a better job presenting some type of defense. Welcome, Cindy, and everybody else. And Lori only flatters herself. If you do not flatter her, she does not keep you around. The only way she keeps you around is if you think she is the absolute best. I haven't seen John on Hidden True Crime, his most recent analysis. I have seen some of his old videos breaking down this case. Um, I think I found their channel through the Lori Vallow case. I want to say that's how I found it. It was either Lori Vallow or Jody and Ruby Frank, Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frankie. All right. Question. What mental health issues did the deceased brother have? Oh, according to the ex-wife, they had a very, very weirdly close relationship, Lori and Alex. So I think Lori, in my personal thoughts and opinions, manipulated Alex. There have been some conversations that Alex might have had some type of addiction to sex and that he might have I don't know if he like loved Lori, like I don't know, like I don't and there's no evidence that anything ever but like their relationship was weird. Their relationship for me personally, it was and that's why I think some of the questions to Adam was about, like, how close were Lori and Alex, and it sounds like in the last year and a half, that they had gotten really, really close, but I think Lori realized that she could manipulate him, and that's why she kept him close, and that he could help her do her mission, but her mission was just to, like, get money and, get the lover that she wanted, Chad, I don't know, ugh, but, like, she for some reason, she was attracted to Chad. His voice, like, it he gives me the ick, like, and I don't Chad, ugh, okay. So, but, also with Alex, it sounds like he had some antisocial traits. He didn't seem to have problem, breaking the law. And, so I would wonder if he'd meet criteria for, like, an antisocial personality disorder. But they used I think they kind of, because I wonder if Alex really believed all the preparing the people that did he believe the zombie stuff? Did he believe the dark spirit? Like, was Alex really truly believing that stuff? I think he was used, and I still don't know that his death was completely natural. I don't think it was. Um, Lawyer Lee has a competition for green enchilada chicken, and Adam's gonna be the judge of it. I am going to watch that stream. I don't I don't know that I've ever had green chicken green chili enchiladas, and if it's green chili enchiladas, like, I've never but she has ruined it for me, okay? So, even if I would ever try this dish so Sarah Boone ruined a good day, like, anytime I hear "good day," like, it was a good day, like, I can't get that part out of my mind, and then Lori has ruined green chili enchiladas that I've never had and don't really plan to. Alright. Question thank y'all for the question marks, makes it so much easier. So, is it a narcissism thing to not see how others see them? So it's an empathy thing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be narcissism. It can also be empathy. And that's where things can get confusing because uh, people with personality disorders, their lack of empathy causes them to manipulate others and try to control others. Some people, don't want to say all. So some people with a lack of empathy can end up doing that. Individuals with autism that might struggle with empathy, it may actually put them at risk of being manipulated, put them at risk of, because they're thinking, I'm a good person. I wouldn't scam somebody, and they might struggle to see this person is using you. So I like to make that distinction. So a lack of empathy doesn't necessarily mean narcissism, but it is a key. It's a key part of narcissistic personality disorder for somebody that meets criteria for that. You see, I just every single time I hear it, I am going to think of her. Um, and so I guess Dr. John talked about generational trauma. Yeah, because I think there were likely things that happened in Lori's childhood. The thing that I will say here over and over again, and this isn't my quote, I've heard it somewhere else. I'm not responsible. I can't control what happens to me, but I am responsible for my healing. While I'm not responsible and like I can't control what happens, I can't, it's my job to manage my response and my healing. Nobody has a perfect life. Everybody on the stream has their own story, and we don't do crimes. So what I did with my pain is I healed, I worked on me, and now I help other people heal. I wrote a book, Turning Crisis into Clarity: How to Survive or Thrive in the Midst of Uncertainty. So there is a way to channel it in a more positive direction. Some people choose the maladaptive, problematic route. And if before all the crimes, if Lori had come to me for therapy, I think she would have quit. I don't think she would have stayed with me for very long because I would have set boundaries. And Lori does not like boundaries. And I would have challenged her to wait a minute. I think there's something missing from this story. Like I would have challenged some of her narrative. I would have challenged her religious, cuz her religious beliefs seem to align with what she wanted completely and seem to go against what majority of people in her religion believe. And so her religious beliefs were harmful. And my belief is that religion, like, we shouldn't use it to cause harm. Yeah. All right. A lawyer would have been able to question everybody a lot better. I agree. I also think Lori got upset, and her little snide marks, she would suck her teeth. Like, I got so upset about her, like she just, because you heard it, and I don't know how it sounded in the courtroom, but for the audio feed, you just kept hearing her, and her okay, the way that she just said okay, everything just rubbed me the wrong way. Part of that is because I come in with a little bias towards Lori because of what she did to Tylee, JJ, Tammy, and Charles. So that's the bias that I will 100% acknowledge. I did not go into this trial as a neutral person. I went in thinking, yeah, I do hope for justice for Charles. I thought it was good because that prosecutor that was on East Idaho News brought up the fact that the reason why they're not really going in on Charles, no, not Charles, on Chad, they're because they read through the messages between Chad and Lori. They read through it kind of quickly. And in other trials, they focused on it more, but that's because Chad was an indicted co-conspirator. Chad, my bad. Y'all know me in names. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Barry. I'm not great with names. I know my psychology stuff, okay? I will do my best to get the psychology stuff right. Names and details, I try. I try really hard. I really like to be live and to not have to go back and edit all the things. So Chad, the reason why they're not really digging into Chad's potential involvement, because maybe Chad was involved in the conspiracy, but he's not charged and he's not a part of this case. And the jury could think, oh, maybe it was Chad. that arranged everything. And so the prosecution is doing a good job making sure that it's falling on Lori. So it is what it is. I just like potato. Y'all are hilarious in the chat. Oh, the green chili. So I like spice. So I would want the red sauce. This says green chili sauce is less spicy than red. So she has Karen salt, like she's watering down. And I heard her green chilies enchiladas are nasty. That's what her son um that's what Colby said. I'm a fajita girl, so I like fajitas. So I dyed my hair. So, I my hairstylist doesn't like it. It costs way too much money for somebody else to make my hair blonde, okay? And I will do what I did on the last stream because it's a little blonder. So I like to go blonde in the spring and summer, and then I go red for fall. So, I made it a little bit lighter. You can't see my grays as much. There are a whole bunch of grays. So a little tip, if you go gray, if you wanna hide your grays going lighter, you can't see them as much. When you go darker, the grays, it's contrast and they stand out. Not a hairstylist, I pretend to be one when I get hair dye. I listened to Tanika from Tanika's 2 Cents read Sarah's jail text. Yes. Would love your opinion on the characters involved. Not here, not today. Tanika, if you want to collaborate again, let me know. I would love to chat with you. But yes, do you think any therapist could not have empathy? Yes. So there are therapists that are questionable. Like, so just because somebody has a license does not mean that they're a good therapist. Just because they accept your insurance does not mean that they will be the right fit. So there are therapists that have told people with anxiety to just like don't be anxious. And it's like that's dumb. Like that's not going to work. Or there are therapists that focus on, and I understand because you're running a business. And so I understand being business minded, but I'm also client centered. So my clients get between a 40-minute session or hour-long session. I get paid more if it's an hour session. And if a client is late, I can't start billing until they get there. So if a client is 15 minutes late, I now can't bill in an hour session because normally I only give people their hour. So if you're 15 minutes late, I don't give you an extra 15 minutes. But I know life happens, and so I don't penalize clients for being 15 minutes late. In my practice, you have a 20-minute grace period. Now, if you show up 25 minutes late, we're going to have to reschedule. I accept Medicaid, so I'm not able to bill no-show fees for Medicaid. And so for majority of my clients, I normally don't. I'm normally pretty flexible because I book my schedule. Like I'm normally booked with a lot of people. So if somebody cancels, I get to watch YouTube, film a TikTok. I don't know. Like I get to have fun. And so it is what it is. But I hope that answers your question. Is Lori still protecting Alex? Hmm. So Lori's story is that she's trying to add that Tylee introduced the bat and that Charles was being threatening. Like, and so, but I don't believe her story. I don't believe her. I don't believe it's how she said. I just don't. I don't. She's trying to say it was self-defense and that it wasn't planned. It was a family tragedy, remember? That's what she said in her opening, that this was just a family tragedy, that she just so happened to think she was gonna get $1,000,000 because we heard that phone call. She thought she was gonna get $1,000,000 and knew she was gonna get $4,000. And I thought the state pointed out the fact that she seemed to know the exact amount that she would get. Like it's almost like she had researched how much SSI she would get if he died, because she knew the 4,000 before she even went to the Social Security office. So the state really didn't drive that point hard, and I don't know if they'll do that during their closing. But yes, I'm responsible for my thoughts, emotions, and behavior. I can't control other people. I'm responsible for my thoughts, emotions, and behavior. All right. Do. Does lack of empathy always correlate with to a lack of self-awareness? So we can't say always. That's the thing. We can't say always. So sometimes, in Lori's case, I think her lack of empathy actually comes from her lack of a strong ego. So I think she's incredibly insecure, probably. I think she overcompensates, and I think she puts on a show, but she's not that good at it. Like, we know her, like, what she does, and we can all see it, and it's not particularly helpful. So what can happen with personality disorders or problematic personality traits is there might have been a time where a person displaying this type of behavior, it might have helped them survive a bad situation. The problem comes when now that behavior is being generalized to everybody. So I really enjoy working with people with borderline personality disorder. I do limit the number of strong, because like if a person is having is high risk, and so I limit the number of very high risk cases I have. But I am a therapist that works with personality disorders. The most common ones for me to work with are borderline histrionic, and I forget if dependent, but working on codependency type things. Normally, narcissist. I'm normally working with the child, and a parent is displaying narcissistic like behavior. Do I ever tell that parent that? No, because they will fire me. I do. I don't get fired. I sometimes get fired, but not for that. But if the child starts describing things, I don't say like, "Oh, I think your parent." What I say is, "Huh, it sounds." And normally the children have the language. When I'm working with teens, they normally start bringing stuff up, and we're able to give them a safe place to process, and I give them tools for how to navigate different situations, relationships, and then we monitor for any harm, any thing that's meeting criteria for me to have to potentially like report to social services, all those things. But yeah. All right. All right. Thank y'all for putting the question marks. We don't have a question. All right. I wonder how much the Mormon faith contributed to the delay in a real investigation. Hmm. So I honestly think it was more Lori's pretty privilege. I think people believe so. It's from the detectives and the police officers that have testified, I don't think they liked Lori, but I don't think there was enough there. Like, I think they were paying attention. Her behavior was odd and it was strange, but I don't think they had enough to press charges. And I think their investigation didn't go deep enough. And then she disappeared. But then when all the other crimes happened later, they reopened this case. And that's when she was charged. She probably would have gotten away with this if JJ, Tylee, and Tammy were all still here. If she hadn't done those other crimes, I don't think she would have been charged with Charles's death, conspiracy to commit murder. I personally don't. She got a little greedy, and don't do crimes, okay? Like, mm, but, the other crimes, I think, reopened this case. And we've seen other cases like that where, uh, they went back and looked at other things in the past when a later crime happened. Alright. And they normally don't press charges until like, they don't arrest somebody until they're confident that they can convict them. And I think they didn't have enough evidence to fully convict them. And they did treat Lori that day like she was a victim. they had no reason to suspect or believe that she wasn't. But in the death of a spouse, you normally the wife or the spouse, the living spouse is going to sometimes be a suspect, but I don't think they would have had enough. Alex lost all his bodily functions the day he died. To me, it's more inclined to being poisoned. Yep. So I think, I don't, but I don't. I heard that there was like similar pink foam. The pink foam from Tammy and Alex that just because they initially ruled Tammy's death natural causes and then went back and did the autopsy again. Um, what's his name? Uh, John Oliver did a he did a bit talking about coroners because sometimes to be a medical examiner, um, that sometimes if an official autopsy isn't ordered, the criteria for what's required to be a let me look up what his thing was. John Oliver, was it coroners? Yes, death investigations. He did and it's on YouTube. He did a last week tonight, talking about, death investigations, and sometimes the person that's doing the initial does not always have a ton of training, which is scary. That's really, really scary. So, because I think that's what happened in Tammy's case. The first person that took a look at everything, I think they didn't have as much training as somebody that has training in forensic autopsies. So, because they got to the scene, they thought it was natural causes. The husband is sick, or I think did he have his son tell them that she was sick? Chad used his kids in a way that makes me uncomfortable. Makes me really, really uncomfortable. I'm catching up on the chat. And y'all are still talking about green chili enchiladas. Can't believe y'all. Uh, thank you for being a member for 6 months. I think you get a new badge at 6 months. Okay. Can Lori and Chad talk to each other in prison? I don't know if they are. So I haven't researched if they are. They may be able to do mail back and forth. Normally, prisoners can't, sometimes they restrict prisoner to prisoner phone calls, but they can probably write letters to one another. They probably can. His lawyer has probably recommended that he not. Because any mail that comes into a prison is looked, I think you don't have privacy in prison. So your calls are all recorded, and I do think they have the right to inspect your mail. And if I was the prosecutor in the case, if they were communicating, I would be looking at all of it. I personally would. I'd be super I'd be super nosy. So, I don't know if they're waiting until all of these court things are resolved before they communicate. I don't know. And he's on death row. So, sometimes death row communications are different, but why do you think she isn't putting it all on Alex? So she's putting it all on Charles, which I think she viewed Charles as like against her anyway, and she probably feels like Alex was on her side. And so my understanding of what she's saying is that the incident with Charles, that it was family tragedy, nobody planned it. It got out of hand. My thoughts is she should have given him back his phone, but I think that's the catalyst that kinda drove everything, and I think it was part of their plan. Thank you, Cindy. I love it blonde. Hey, Marissa. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So the way I view dyeing my own hair and so we'd have squirrel moments, okay? I have a little squirrel right over here for where is here he is. Okay. So we have squirrel moments, and this squirrel moment is for me dyeing my own hair. Um, if I significantly damaged my hair, I would just go bald. And I have a really cute head. Y'all would be like, "Dr. Berry, what happened to your hair?" And it was like, "Remember, I tried something new. It didn't work out. We're gonna start all over." And my hair grows really, really fast, and it would be fine. All right. I saw whew, thank you, Chop Trials. So I answer all questions, okay? But thank you, okay? Like I appreciate it. Pastor told me my mental wait a minute. Okay. I'm hoping this is a positive thing, but I'm preparing myself if it's not. Pastor told me my mental health issues is just science. Okay. I took a gene test that said my serotonin and adrenaline is low, but my dopamine is lowest. I'm doing TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. Let me know how it goes. I have recommended TMS for some of my clients. It's recommended for treatment resistant depression. So transcranial magnetic stimulation, what they do is they use very strong magnets to rewire the brain. That's what therapy tries to do. But if it can be very helpful for people that have tried therapy and multiple different antidepressants and all those things. You do have to be careful because there are some side effects. And so that's where people discuss with their medical doctor. I have done the psychological assessments for people because sometimes you need clearance to be able to get TMS. And so I've done psychological screenings or psychological evaluations for people looking to get that. Okay, so pink foam, common in pulmonary embolism. Okay, I like. Remember, I'm not the lawyer. Just like okay. All right, let's see. Okay, and then other people sharing the medical stuff. Yes, Lisa, exactly. Coroner is an elected position with no medical training needed. That's super duper scary. That's super duper scary. So it depends on your state, but like, so go watch John Oliver's death investigation. Okay, I think they might attend a class. I think there's like a class they take, but like that's super duper scary for me personally. Ugh. Okay, there was a question. Did the fact that everyone had the self-defense story at the ready make law enforcement accept the story? I can't tell you why they didn't press charges at first. So, I think for the state, I think they didn't think they had enough to convict Lori and Alex. But then once everything else came out, once they because I think the states shared their evidence, like, I think they because the investigator from Arizona testified, like, one of the detectives, I believe, testified in Lori and Chad's case as well to talk about the incident with Charles, so, alright. World weird world we live in. Alright, alright. It's almost 3 o'clock. My kiddo is waiting on me to open his Easter basket. So if y'all have any major questions, I'm gonna parent real quick. Come on in. Is it open? Langston, is it open or is it locked? Langston, give me 15 minutes, okay? We'll see if I get 15 minutes. How can I find trauma-informed therapist that accepts my insurance? All right. So let me find my how to find a therapist video because so trauma informed is different than trauma trained. I'll say that again. Trauma informed is different from trauma trained. So any therapist can be trauma informed. So trauma informed just means that I know how to look at somebody through the lens of what happened, but it does not mean that they are skilled to actually treat trauma. Two separate things. Trauma informed, trauma trained. You want to make sure that you have a therapist with training in treating trauma. So you want to know what interventions, what do they use to treat trauma. I am going to start an EMDR. That's eye movement, wait a minute, desensitization, reprocessing. It is a type of trauma treatment that is very effective. Sometimes for complex PTSD, it's not as helpful. So I also do DBT skills training. I meet my clients where they are. I try to make sure that we have consistent visits when possible. When I'm accepting a new client, I sometimes let them know my schedule's booked. So sometimes you want to know how long has somebody been practicing, and do they plan to stay in the area? Because some therapists, they might not let you know that, oh, I'm planning to leave in 6 months, or I'm planning to start my own practice. And uh, mm, I personally would have an issue with that. So for me, anytime I've left a practice, I've always taken my clients with me. Anybody that wanted to go with me, they were able to come with me. Um, that's just been my practice. So you want to find a therapist that is trained in treating trauma. So the question you would ask is what approach do they use in treating trauma? If you wanted to look at something like EMDR, there's emdria.org. I think that's what it is. Let me look it up real quick because I want to say that's right. EMDRIA. Yep. That is there should be a list of therapists that are trained in EMDR on that website. And I use psychologytoday.com, but some therapists click that they do everything, and they might not do some of those things. And so you just want to be careful with that. Okay. Thank y'all for watching. All right. Let's see. Oh, y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. Like literal squirrel. I love squirrel moments. It's from the movie Up, because I also have the Up dog over there too. Um, why does my hair grow so fast? I was bald until I was like 2, and I there's my hair just grows really fast. I don't think, because it went from not growing at all to just it won't stop. And I'm very thankful, because I also shed a lot. My poor husband. There are little pieces of my hair everywhere. What's your thoughts on Lori having clear ownership of Charles when she refuses, when she refers to him in court? My husband. I think it's weird, but that's like a narcissistic viewing people as objects and not people. So even though she wanted Chad, she still wanted her husband too. Like, I think she didn't wanna divorce him, because that's what most of us were like, "Hey, you shoulda just divorced him." She probably would have gotten child support. He would have fought her for custody, especially of JJ. She probably would have, but, and then she wouldn't have wanted to not have the financial support. But, I think he would have continued to support her, but I think he was concerned about the affair with a married man. If she was just with another guy that was single, I don't know that, like, I think he would have been upset, but I don't think he would have been as upset. But I think it was the affair with the married man, plus they have these weird beliefs and things are getting worse and worse. I think that was what drove everything over. I hope that's helpful. All right. I wouldn't be where I am in the oh y'all are I'm so glad this has been helpful. But what was the question though? I didn't see your question. Um, I am interested to see how the attempted on Brandon Boudreaux. I am interested to see how that case goes. I will be following that case too. So Brandon did not testify in this trial. Um, all right. I also wonder, because they're gonna have to try to find a jury that hasn't seen any coverage, and then also hasn't watched the Arizona case too. So, they're gonna have to put out those jury questionnaires again, and I wonder if they're saving some of the ones they already received, but, they might have to do that again. I don't understand Tylee and how calm she was after knowing Charles was shot. What are your thoughts? So I honestly think Lori poisoned Tylee against Charles. That's my own thought. I think Lori probably said some things, and in order for Tylee to have her mother's approval, I think Lori liked it when Tylee argued with Charles and when Tylee didn't like Charles. I think Lori liked and fed some of that. And so I think Lori was creating distance. I don't know that Tylee knew that he was gonna die. Like, I don't know that she knew that it was gonna go that far. Lori probably told her, "Your uncle was just defending himself." Um, uh, I don't know when they left in the car if Tylee heard the shots outside. I don't know what Tylee knew. To me, she looked anxious. So to me, Tylee did before the detectives came in, when she was in there by herself, she looked kind of anxious, and, um, I think I think Lori could manipulate people's reality to where they would believe anything she said, similar to a Jodi Hildebrandt. I remember Jessie, Lori's niece, talking about how, uh, when Jody like, that Jody could convince you of anything, and I think Lori has that same type of vibe where she could convince someone of almost anything. Um, so Psychology Today is the one that I use. Psychology Today, it is a paid directory. So, like, therapists have to pay to be on it. So I am not on Psychology Today because my practice stays fully booked without having to pay the 30, 50. I don't know how much it is a month, but I don't pay for that directory. There's also Therapy Den, and I'm gonna go back and edit the description of this video, but all of my other videos have therapy resources listed down below. Okay? I hope that's helpful. Whew, good gosh. Barbara, I'm gonna have to do a whole video on that one, okay? So RFK Jr. talked about how autism can be cured, and so by September, he's gonna find the toxins that are causing autism, and that he made incredibly ableist comments that people with autism don't pay taxes, they don't fall in love, and all of what he said is completely inaccurate, because there are people with autism that work full-time jobs that never receive Social Security. Now there are people at the more severe end that do need supports, but, like, autism is a spectrum, and like, autism is this monstrous spectrum. We got rid of Asperger's disorder because the doctor it was named after, he was a Nazi and did some not so great things. And so it's all autism spectrum. And I do not agree with his comments about it. I'll probably have to do a whole nother video. But those are my thoughts for now. Hey, thank you for this. Member for 21 months. I didn't even know I had the membership available for 21 months. Oh my gosh. Witness, you might be one of my longest ones. Okay. So happy I caught this live stream. Appreciate your professionalism. Thank you so much. All right. EMDR works great. Some people have had a not so great experience. And so that's where what's more important than the technique the therapist uses is how comfortable you feel with them. Okay. So I worked with the therapist. She was probably good at her job. We just didn't click. Her schedule, she ran late. So if my appointment's at 1 p.m., I need to be in that office by like 1:05 or 1:10. Like, she consistently ran 20 to 30 minutes late. And it just I because my appointment's at 1 and it's 1:20 and I'm still sitting out, like, I'm I'm going into therapy mad. And I should have told her, okay? I wasn't being so sometimes therapists are the worst patients. I did ghost her. Don't ghost your therapist. I'll tell you what I should have done. I didn't do these things. I should have told her, "Can you like, this isn't working for me," like, because she would give me my full hour, but, like, the way I was in graduate school, and it just wasn't the right fit. One of my best therapists was, somebody that I paid cash to see. It was expensive. I got better within, like, 8 sessions, I think. And then I did have another therapist that accepted my insurance. Uh Before I get trained in EMDR, I'm going to get EMDR for myself first, because I wanna see what the experience is as a client doing EMDR. So, alright, those are some of my thoughts. Hey, Karen, thank you for being here. Thank you for being one of the moderators. Sarah, if you're in the chat, thank you so much too. Um, I hope everybody has a good holiday weekend. Like I said, my kiddo, his Easter basket is downstairs. He went back down and he's playing with grandma and grandpa, so I might be okay. I do think my mom, so it might run in the family. That might be what it is, but my hair grows faster. Mine's thicker and it grows faster. Um, so it might be my dad's side. I'm not sure. And then Karen had a video where she talked about Charles' application to the court. Nice. Awesome, awesome. And, I did hear on the Idaho News, they talked about why Charles' prior statement, because Charles said, "She's trying to kill me." Like, that's what Charles said in the past, and that video is being kept out because it's considered hearsay, and the state did not try to fight to get that video in. I think they think they have a strong case without his words. I hope so. I think I don't think Lori's done a good job. Like, so the whole bamboo shirt, like, I'm sure, like, this is supposed to be why does the bamboo? But I think she's trying to say their analysis is wrong because of the bamboo shirt. I think that's what she's trying to say. Sometimes her line of questioning, I'm just like, "Why? Why?" I'm not sure. There is speculation that they may drop the charges in Brandon's case. So, they might just not wanna do this again. This is expensive. So the state has to pay for all these people, for all of this going on. Brandon, I hope that they would consult with the victim as well, because they bring his ex in. I think Brandon and Melon, do they have children together? Mm, they might have. I don't know. So, if they do decide to drop the charges, I hope it's with the victim's consent. But it sounds like they're definitely going to go forward with it because the state has even said this person isn't a witness in this case, but they will be a witness in the next case. And so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Um, okay. Do you think Lori has multiple personality? No. No. So, multiple personalities looks a certain way. That's dissociative identity disorder. That is where a person has multiple different, um it's severe dissociation where it's no longer Lori, it's this other entity. I think Lori is always Lori, she just has different sides. So, there is a great book called No Bad Parts by Dick Schwartz. So, No Bad Parts. Let me No Bad Parts. Um, and so we all have parts of ourselves. And so that's what when you see Lori, you might see, oh, sometimes she can be this and sometimes she can be that. And, let me share my screen. So, healing trauma and restoring wholeness, it's internal family systems model. Richard Schwartz, I think he goes by sometimes Richards, but I think he goes by Dick too. But Richard Schwartz, um, maybe he goes by Rick. I don't know. But great book. And it allows people to accept the different parts of themselves. And sometimes there are hurting parts, there are healing parts, and then there's our self. And everybody can have these parts of ourselves, and it does not mean that you have dissociation. And so to me, Lori, there's a part of her that wants to come off competent. And then there's another part of her that, I don't know, like there are all these different parts of ourselves. So I hope that's helpful. What I think the video that got me monetized was the testimony in y'all know me in names. This was years ago. Oh my gosh, because it was and y'all probably gonna put it in the chat. It was Doctor. It was so bad. Um, Letitia Stout. Oh, who was it? Dr. Lewis. Dr. Lewis testimony in Letitia Stout's case, because Letitia Stout tried to say that she had multiple personalities and that she didn't like there was this Maria was the one that came out and did the crime and but she tried to speak in different accents. Nobody believed it. She didn't do a very but like don't do crimes. Like it wasn't DID. Question, there's a police call between Alex's first wife and police. She said Lori and Alex would ooh, okay. That's not normal. Um, I don't know why anyone would think that's normal, but, I think her family was very open to sexuality, but, like, in a way that I think harmed people. Because I think there are also allegations that her dad might have been inappropriate. So, no confirmation, but that's an allegation that I've heard. No question, just thankful for you. Thank you, Chop Charles. Y'all are the best. Alright. In your edit, you might want to take a parent moment out. So, I don't mind people knowing his name. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I don't yeah, everybody knows his name's Langston. I just don't show his face. Uh, do. I'd like to find out if any other parents have dealt with reactions. We had a day and a half of total meltdown. Aw. Um, okay. Hmm. And I have some parenting, so I have a parenting playlist if you wanted to check out the parenting playlist. All right? All right, we're wrapping it up with these last questions. Do you think Lori has Munchausen by proxy? So I have heard that she was possibly poisoning Tylee. I haven't seen information about it. So it wouldn't surprise me. So what Munchausen's is it's making the child sick so that the person can get attention. That's something I think Lori would do. I don't know if she did. So, I've heard somewhere that maybe Dr. John on Hidden True Crime talked about it. They have dug way deeper in this case than I've dug. So yeah. We're done. Okay. How do you pronounce pancreatic? Pancreatitis. Okay. Remember, I have a speech impediment. So you don't want to ask me how I pronounce things because I might be saying it wrong. Ah. Thought about the cult leader Jason in the Olivia case. That was a really tough case, lots of coercive control. And, but, because I remember that case where, the mother was found guilty, even though there was some coercive control from a court. Welcome. I appreciate you all. I am going to go and enjoy the rest of this Saturday. It's a beautiful day here in Virginia. I'm going to go hang out with my family. I hope y'all drink some water, take care of yourself. I'm still doing the K dramas. So I have now downloaded it's on Prime Video cuz I've went through all the ones I like on Netflix and I'm now going through them on Prime. So, come out of true crime a little bit sometimes because, it can be sad watching all of this all the time. So, the way I cover it, I try to cover these things in a way that is not triggering or isn't overly triggering. I try. And I also try to provide you all with resources and tools, okay? So the fact that you all say that these things are helpful, that makes my day, okay? Sure, it would be great to have a certain number of subscribers, but I'd rather have impact. So the 400 of us just hanging out, I love it versus like if it was thousands and the chat was like evil, like, no, I don't. So I appreciate how respectful you all were in the comments. I thank you all for being here. I will see y'all next time. Bye.